I got a notification during breakfast that a really exciting package has arrived. It is a podcast microphone, so I can get started on my podcast. I still have so much planning to do and I have no idea when the podcast will be coming out. So here it is. I ordered the Yeti Nano. It looks so cool. I'm so excited. We can finally get started on the podcast. Whoa! I had an idea yesterday and I also need to take this thumbnail photo. Maybe work on the podcast photo, test out this baby. I created the photo for the podcast. I'm not sure if it's really done, but this is just a starting point. You guys, I'm sorry, I look like a total mess, but I have to share this moment with someone. And I just finished the first episode of the podcast. It wasn't even planned. I just felt so inspired. And now the episode is done and I just listened through it. And it's so good. I'm so proud of it and I'm so happy. Just I had to share. I think there's a little tear in my eye. Hello everyone and welcome back to my desk. So last night I uploaded the first 2 episodes of my new podcast to Buzzsprout, which is the hosting website that you need. You need a hosting website to host your podcast. Everything is basically ready. I have a launch date. So today is the 10th of February. It is Wednesday. I feel like it's Wednesday. The podcast will be coming out, launching, will be live, available for everyone on this Monday. It kind of all came out of the blue. I just kind of couldn't stop working on it and now it's finished. I'm just so excited to share everything with you guys. So that's actually just what I came on here to tell you. So I'm listening to my own podcast and I can't believe that I'm able to listen to my own podcast. So get ready for tomorrow morning. I'm so excited to share this with you. I'm really proud of this project, so I hope you will listen at least a little and give me some feedback. I guess I should tell you guys more about the podcast, what it's going to be about, why I'm creating it. So this is something I came up with last lockdown. I feel so passionate about it that I feel now's the time to try. I'm scared that no one will listen. But basically the podcast is going to be about mental health, self-love and dating and just kind of girly stories, what you would talk to your best friend about or what you would talk to your therapist about or what you would talk to your big sister about. So it's going to be just kind of personal talks, all the things that we shouldn't talk about, all the shameful topics. I'm going to be super honest about my own personal experiences and share my crazy dating stories and share my journey from basically hating myself and being super unhappy to now living alone abroad, being super happy. Well, not super happy. I still struggle a lot with anxiety, being just generally unhappy with myself. I am overall extremely happy with my life and very, very proud of myself. So I want to talk about that and how I kind of got to this point. But I also want to be super honest and relatable with you guys about things that I still struggle with. So I just want the podcast to be kind of a safe space for anyone going through something to come and have a listen and maybe hopefully feel better about the situation or at least know that you are not alone. So excited that I'm finally doing it. Hello everybody, today it is Monday the 15th of February and my podcast is officially live. So this morning I officially published my first 2 episodes of the Happy Messy Mind podcast. So I am here now. I guess you've seen from the intro and the whole kind of journey through everything. I thought I would sit down and talk you guys through the entire process, how I made all the decisions, what equipment I used, what it cost me, how much time it took, how I plan everything. So if there's anything that you want to know from an amateur starting a podcast, this is the video for you. I guess the most asked question would probably be, how did I come up with the name? Because the name is always the hardest part, and for me it was as well. The name was such a struggle to come up with. So what I did was I brainstormed, of course, several times, and I had a document and a list on my phone of different names. But another thing that I also did was I came up with a list, and I'll insert it here. This is the real list that I used to come up with the name of my podcast. List of words that represented what the podcast would be about, and in that way I kind of just wrote down all words that were relevant and important in my podcast, which I knew I wanted to talk about, and then some way, somehow I just kind of put Happy Messy Mind together, and the Happy Messy Mind podcast was born. But let's get into the more technical aspects of starting a podcast. And I'm assuming this is why most of you guys are here. So I will tell you what you will need to start a podcast. So you will need a microphone. I mean, you can get by without it, but I would not recommend it because the sound is the main thing in your podcast, so the sound quality has to be good. So I invested in this blue Yeti Nano microphone, and this is around $90. I think I paid 90 Swiss francs for it. It is of course a bit of an investment, but it is also the main equipment. And I definitely recommend that you take care of the sound, because if there's anything off with the sound or it doesn't sound pleasant, nobody's gonna want to listen, no matter what you're saying. Next, you need a hosting site. So just like on blogs, you need somewhere where you can upload your content that kind of hosts your content, which you can then spread out to other platforms. So I'm using Buzzsprout, which cost me about $12 a month. There are different kinds of plans, of course, and I'm not sponsored in any way. I'm just telling you guys what I did. I upload everything to Buzzsprout, and then I can distribute my content onto Spotify, iTunes, Google, and any other platform. You need, of course, a computer or some kind of editing software. So I'm using my MacBook Air, which I already had, and every Apple product, I guess, comes with GarageBand, which is an app where you can edit sound. That's really just what I'm using, and it works perfectly. I feel I can create a podcast with music, with sound, which I am happy with. And it's also super easy to use, at least I found. Of course, I have experience with editing videos, but I feel it's still pretty easy to get started. Another thing I would recommend, but that you maybe don't need depending on your setup, but it's something that I need because I don't have enough space on my computer. I'm using an external hard disk to kind of store everything, because you will have a lot of content, you will have a lot of documents, you will have a lot of saved projects from everything that you create. So I recommend having that just to back up everything. And that's it. That's my setup. That's everything that I have needed. So what are my goals with the podcast? Obviously, the main goal for me personally is just to receive those messages that tell me that I've made a difference, that tell me that me telling my story helped someone in any kind of way. That's really the main goal, is just to feel that what I've been through and everything that I've learned, I can use that in some way, and I can help someone who was in the position that I was in to feel more safe and to feel better and to help them grow in a way. But of course, I also have kind of a numerical goal. I have more of a, this is the goal, this is what I want to achieve. So right now, actually, my goal is to have 100 listeners by the summer, 100 people following. I know that's not a high goal, like it could be way more ambitious, but I want to keep it realistic, and I will also be extremely happy if 100 people decide to follow and listen to this podcast on a regular basis. The goal is then also to have about 100 listens on every episode. That would be insane. Like 100 people is a lot of people. And I'm hoping that out of 100 people, at least someone will gain something from what I'm saying. That's my goal for now. If I reach those goals, I will set new goals. I will of course update that with you guys and let you guys know how the journey is going. Alright, here at the end, let's talk a little bit about how I plan my episodes, because I write everything down. You're gonna need ideas on days where you don't have any inspiration. You're gonna need to plan ahead so you can make sure that you put out content consistently. So what I do is that I have a huge podcast document, and I'll insert some of it here so you guys can see a little bit behind the scenes. But I write everything in this document. So I have the title idea, then I work out a little intro, which I will then also use as the episode description later on, because you need that too. And then I write down little pinpoints, maybe sentences, if I find that I'm really in the flow and I can really word something nicely. Or I just write little bullet points of things that I want to mention or talk about in the podcast, because I cannot just sit down and talk, because then I know I'll ramble out of topic and it will be a big mess. I want a nice flow and a structure in my episodes. This is personally how I want to do it. And then I also plan out different sections and breaks throughout the episode. So that's how I'm doing it. I'm sure there are a million other ways to do it, but as a bit of an inspiration, I thought I would really give you guys an insight as to how I started this whole podcast thing, how it comes together, and how I plan to keep it going moving forward. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Even if you're not thinking about starting a podcast, maybe you just find it fun to see everything that I went through to put this project to life, which I can't believe it happened it really happened fast. I mean, I know I had the idea last year, but it was really in this lockdown, which started 4 or 5 weeks ago, where I thought, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And now it's here and it's running, and all I have to do now is keep recording episodes, which is super fun anyway. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or anything I didn't talk about in this video, you can always leave me a comment down below and I will make sure to get back to you. Even if you have some kind of feedback, if you listen to the podcast, I will leave a link in the description box, of course. So I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!